A player who everyone was banging the table for, saying the Denver Broncos absolutely had to go get at the trade deadline, who's an explosive playmaker, is now available for absolutely free, and there are people on Twitter speculating that the Sean Payton-led Denver Broncos will go out and snag him on the waiver wire on Monday. In this video, we're going to break down why he could be the perfect fit and why he might be a stay-away candidate. We're also going to break down the problems that plagued us on defense against the Chargers on Thursday Night Football, why I don't think that's going to be a problem moving forward with the return of Riley Moss. If you are new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me out a ton, and the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you would like and subscribe. Something that has been just frustratingly bang your head against a table frustrating over this year is just our lack of playmaker at the wide receiver position. It just feels like I watch Jamar Chase, I watch Amon St. Brown and Jamison Williams, and obviously Justin Jefferson. I watch all these wide receivers who catch the ball and then do something with it. And I love Courtland Sutton to death. I am so thankful that we have him. But it feels like most of the catches he gets, he's like immediately dropping to the ground, sometimes even falling to the ground as he catches it. Same with Devon Vele, that they are phenomenal possession receivers. And that's great. Like Bo Nix drops it on a line, they catch it, and they don't need to do anything with it. But we could use the type of player who can do something after the catch, who is a phenomenal route runner. Like we could use a Jerry Jeudy, like he played against the Denver Broncos when we played the Browns just a couple of weeks ago. And there is a player like that who was a trade candidate at the trade deadline, who the Baltimore Ravens got for basically like pennies on the dollar, and everyone in Denver was furious about it. Well, he ended up being a massive culture clash with the staff in Baltimore and was completely cut, which is just bonkers and wild, and there's some red flags there that we're going to talk about. But if you just take a look at his route running ability, like this dude is absolutely nasty. Showed these same flashes when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin had him locked down. I think if you take a look at a Sean Payton-led team, like Sean Payton is a lot like Mike Tomlin, and Tomlin had him under locks and didn't let him become really the culture tanker that he ended up being with Carolina and then being with the Ravens. And so I could say, like, if there is a coach who can keep wraps on a player like Diontae Johnson, it's Sean Payton. But there is massive red flags. Like, is the fact that he has now kind of forced himself out of multiple situations? Is he looking a lot more like an Antonio Brown type player that like you want nothing to do with? I think you just take a look at his ability to run routes and then his ability to explosively create after he catches the ball. That's just something Bo Nix doesn't have here. And I think you give a rookie like Bo Nix a player like Diontae Johnson and watch out. And the fact that you could get him for nothing, like literally nothing, you just have to, according to Field Yates here, all you would have to do is basically like pay the rest of his deal. So no minimum salary, effectively a no cost option. Adam Schefter said he is likely to be claimed on that Monday spot because the Broncos have not had any claims rewarded this year. I could easily see a world where if the Broncos put one in, there's like this weird reverse order that it like works through, kind of like a fantasy football draft. I could easily see the Broncos ending up with him. Other places that folks have rumored him to would be the team we just faced in the Los Angeles Chargers. They have nothing other than Ladd McConkey for targets for their Justin Herbert. My thought there is that, if somebody messes with your brother, you don't mess with them going forward. And so the fact that Diontae already burned his bridge with one of the Harbaugh brothers, there's no way that the Chargers end up getting him. I think this would be a phenomenal flyer for the Denver Broncos to take a chance on. And while there is the high risk of we've seen Sean Payton totally transform the culture here, there are no me first guys, but I think you set that expectation up front. I also just think of watching the post-game hug with Sean Payton and Jerry Jeudy after that game. And you saw that Sean Payton had Jerry Jeudy on lockdown too, when he was here with the Denver Broncos. And Jerry Jeudy said something like, "I'll be back" to Sean. And there was always mutual admiration there. Sean just knew we weren't going to be able to pay him again moving forward. And so he wanted to get something. But it wasn't like he was forced out of here because he was such a pariah in the locker room or anything like that. And so I think if any coach in the NFL could handle the personality of a Diontae, it is a coach like Sean Payton. And so I think it's worth a flyer. The risk is obviously that like this team all is like young and hungry, and there are no me first dudes on this team, which is why we all love watching them so much now. And so if that tanks, it's not worth it. But I think it's up to Sean to be like, hey, if I set the expectations that, hey, here's what you're getting, man, and here are the boundaries, and if you cross it, you're out of here. I think it's worth it because we don't have a playmaker like that on our offense, and I think it could truly change our prospects. It's very rare at this point in the season that you could go out and get a guy like this. Like, he was set to get top wide receiver money this offseason as a free agent, and because of him being such a pariah in the locker room, that's really hard for him. And so he's going to be on his best behavior because he's got to change minds real quick, and why not do it with a team like the Denver Broncos who are going to be making the playoffs? Next thing that I want to just point out here quick as we're into the weekend is a lot of concerns about the fact that Justin Herbert just tore this defense apart. And one of the people getting a lot of the slings and arrows in Broncos country is Justin Strnad, our inside linebacker. Obviously, we knew the plan A was Singleton and Cody Barton. And instead, Singleton got hurt, and so Justin Strnad has been a very adequate replacement. But if you take a look at this, he was the closest defender on 7 different catches, accounting for 103 yards, according to Next Gen Stats. So a lot of people are saying like he was like barbecue chicken and was awful. I think that I heard a podcast with Todd Davis, who played linebacker for the Denver Broncos, coached Justin Strnad, and said that that's kind of a deceptive stat in and of itself because the way linebackers are taught to play it, they play deep to shallow, and so they want to allow those shallow catches rather than giving up something deep. The other thing is that because we did not have Riley Moss, we ended up playing a very inordinary amount of zone defense, just because we didn't have the top 2 best corners in football in Riley Moss and Pat Surtain. I think that our plan going into the Bengals game is going to be, we're going to have Riley back, we're going to play man coverage, and then that's not going to be an issue. That Strnad got eaten up because of our porous zone defense. And the other part of why we played a disproportionate amount of zone defense was there are rumors that Pat Surtain, while he gave a really valiant effort, he wasn't 100% on that ankle injury. And so he wasn't like feeling like he could lock down Ladd McConkey in man-to-man defense on like 80% of his left leg. Drove me nuts that all we heard about was how Bosa was suffering from an ankle injury, and not the fact that like just last week that you had Pat Surtain almost have his leg taken off and he's still out there locking dudes down. So I think Pat Surtain, 10 days of rest coming into this Bengals game now. His ankle's going to be good. We're going to have Riley Moss out there. We're not going to have this porous zone defense, and we're going to lock down T. Higgins. We're going to lock down Jamar Chase. And when that happens, the Denver Broncos are in very, very good shape because we win against the Bengals on Saturday and we're in the playoffs. We don't even have to worry anymore. We can even talk about like, do we rest Pat? Do we rest Courtland Sutton for that game against the Chiefs just a week later? But we've got a lot to be paying attention to, a lot of great football coming down the pike, and even more than that, we've got a ton to believe in. I'm heading home to Denver, so I hope I see some of you out there and say, what's up? I'll be doing as much content as I can while I am there, visiting my family and stuff, but it won't be in the studio, and it might be just a weird week, but have a very, very Merry Christmas and keep believing.